like a loaded page, years of miles, scars, lesson engraved. You did the work, you earned the view, but the numbers haven't followed you. You've got stories worth more than likes, vision sharper than a million mics. It's not about grinding louder now, it's time to change the how. You don't need another hustle plan, you need a signal people understand. Build a brand that works as hard as you, let your two turn into revenue. And it's not about being everywhere seen, it's about standing somewhere clean. Clear beats loud every time, this is your moment, your line. Be seen, be valued, be paid for what you already made. Step onto a stage where the moment's real, where live conversations make connection feel. From silent posts to voices that land, where trust is built when you're seen firsthand. Big ideas shared in real time air, no edits, no filters, just presence there. From employee thinking to owning the frame, packaging outcomes, calling your name. Right platform, right point of view, unlived moment, cut straight through. Build a brand that works as hard as you, let your story drive the revenue. It's not about shouting to the crowd, it's about clarity spoken out loud. Clear beats loud every time, this is your moment, your sign. Be seen, be trusted, be paid for the value you already made. You don't need to become someone new, just sharpen what's already true. And clarity clicks, doors open wide. Consistency builds the Build it clear, build it strong. You've been ready all along, not louder, just a line. Confidence meets design. If you're ready to step in the room where insight turns into bloom, I'd love to see you there. Let's build it
Great song.
Hey, I like that. I thought we were going to lose power there for a second. The thunderstorms are moving in, and it hasn't happened to me yet, and I hope it doesn't happen to us where I lose power. If it does, keep the show running. Now I'll be right back. I don't anticipate the thunderstorms knocking out the power, but nonetheless, Christina, how you doing? We are excited to be here today. Why don't you?
I'm doing
You know what,
great.
let me go. Let me get rid of this this transition because
you're-
it's covering up your face. I just want to introduce.
I was gonna move
myself.
for it, but yeah.
We're going to move it in a second. My name's Americo, and I'm super excited to be joined by Christina. And we're going to be talking about brewing your pipeline, and we have some exciting stuff that we are going to jump into. Hear a little bit of an echo. You may want to mute one of those tabs there. Christina, you are already a member of Your Stage Community. Those of you who are wondering, what is Your Stage Community? I'm putting together a community with live-minded people, people who are interested in building their content stack centered around live streaming. Live conversations are just one of the fastest way, and I would advocate, and sure, some people would say I'm saying this with a little bit of bias, but let me tell you, live content is one of the best ways, if not the best way, to build trust, social authority. And we're going to dive into this in a couple of weeks in our masterclass. But today I'm joined by Christina, and I'll let Christina introduce herself, and we'll jump right into it. Christina, now you're completely covered by yourself. Are you on mute?
Yes, now I'm completely covered. I would just say maybe just go behind it, before I got my hair cut. So, anyhow, so welcome everybody. This is the presentation of our upcoming masterclass. I specialize in turning ideas into income, and no, it's not a pipeline dream. So what we're going to be doing today is talking about what we're going to be covering during the masterclass and explaining some of the key terminology and what a pipeline really is. It's a term right now that is being used a lot on LinkedIn. You see a lot of promotional materials about that. And at first, I wasn't a big fan of it for this very reason. So, I kind of decided to play with it a little bit because if you've been in LinkedIn for a while, and especially in the last couple of years, you heard it all, the algorithm, 360 brew. So I thought it would be fun to talk about brewing your pipeline. And
Yeah.
what we're gonna talk about today is just that. Is what does it mean? What are all these words, and what does it really mean to be successful on LinkedIn? You heard the song. Actually, if you replay this recording, all the instructions are there. So good job on that song, America. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Did you wanna?
That's I wanted to capture lyrics that would tie to today's subject matter. Listen, I'm not a songwriter. I can't sing to save my life, but I thought I would make an attempt to connect today's subject matter along with some lyrics. And listen, we're going to dive into four key areas. We're going to touch on four key areas that are valuable not only to us but to anyone who wants to monetize their expertise. Listen, if you've been in the workforce and you're at a point where you're ready to transition, then you're going to want to stick around for the next hour and a bit. And we're going to open the floor to Q&A. If you're joining in and you're listening and you have questions, please join the chat. Omar has joined us. Hey, Omar, how you doing? Feel free, if you got questions, drop them in the comments, and we will answer your questions in real time. But today, as Christina mentioned, today is a information session to kind of raise awareness as to what our masterclass is going to be focused and centered on. April 14th is when we're planning to bring us all together for this masterclass that is going to touch on four key pillars. And why don't we jump into those pillars? We're going to do one by one. This gives you a level summary. And the first one, which a lot of people misunderstand, misinterpret, and sometimes overcomplicate, and that's personal brand. Why don't we start off with the personal branding piece? Over to
All
you,
right.
Christina.
So you probably heard it all on LinkedIn, right? So the personal brand, it is as personal as it gets. It's not your logo, it's not your website, and it's not necessarily a polished LinkedIn profile. It's that what you mean to others when they encounter your content, your presence. That's what personal brand really is. It is very much about storytelling. It is very much made with all the ingredients that have made up your experience this far. So uh, it, you don't think that, oh, I need to get a personal brand. I don't have a personal brand. You already have one. What we're going to be working on this masterclass is how to refine it and polish it so that it is recognized. You may already have a personal brand that is not suitable for your business. That's something that we must face. I know that when I started, my personal brand was not suitable for my the business that I have right now at all. One, because I wasn't online that much, and two, because all there was about me online was associated with my career, which was an e-commerce career, but definitely and nothing to do with what I was building. So if somebody looks you up and finds your fun Facebook page, that's your personal brand. If somebody looks you up and finds not much about you, that's also your personal brand. You're not there. That's not where you hang out. And on LinkedIn specifically, what the personal brand is supposed to do is inspire trust, and it has to tell the story of who you are. You attract people with your profile by showing up, by doing activities like posting, commenting, writing newsletters, going live. But when people notice you there, what they're gonna do is, okay, let me check them out. Let me go to their profile. And if it is not crystal clear what is that you're doing there, then most likely they'll move on to the next search. So what you want to do with your personal brand, on specifically on your LinkedIn profile, you want to keep people there, and you want to make your profile easy to navigate, just like you would want a website easy to navigate. It's no different. So you have to have a user experience that reflects your personal brand once people land on your page.
Now you
Uh,
mentioned LinkedIn, and in just a moment we're going to jump into a different pillar. Now I want everyone to be aware that we may reference LinkedIn today, but this masterclass is centered around social platforms that align and fit with your brand. Some of you may be well planted on LinkedIn, while others may be well planted in Instagram, Facebook, and other platforms. We're going to dive into that in a moment. I want to add, when it comes to personal brand and what Christine is touching on, I refer to as discoverability and searchability, and that's where live streaming comes into play. You know, I used to refer to myself as a keyboard warrior, and felt that my personal brand would be recognized by the quantity of posting I would do. And I'll make no mistake, quantity has very little, if not anything, to do with personal branding. Because if you're just posting and ghosting, and if you're just posting and hoping that people are going to recognize you, it that's not building a personal brand. You touched on storytelling, and I love the fact that you did that, because there's no better way, and I'll keep saying it over and over again. You show up in real time, you're having a conversation, and you're building trust, you're raising awareness, and that becomes part of your discoverability. Now, once we jump into the masterclass, I'm going to discuss my lead framework, which breaks down how to successfully make the most out of your live content strategy, because the heavy lifting begins after your live is over. You want to amplify and repurpose those assets so that they continue to work for you and you continue to be discoverable across different social channels, across different distributions of media, written, video, and so forth. So that we just scratched the surface on personal branding as it relates to both our areas of expertise and, more importantly, our passion. We are very passionate about this. And let me tell you, Christina and I have been following each other for a couple of years now. Almost. We go back to 2024 when we first met in the LinkedIn audio rooms. And I respect Christina and value the advice and the expertise that she brings to this event. And I look forward to having you join and see for yourself, experience for yourself what it's like to put together your own pipeline where you're raising awareness and you get to a point where you've recognized through your efforts and through our support how you've managed to develop relationships and develop a revenue pipeline. All right, are we ready to move on to the next subject?
Well, yeah, just one more thing. I'm thinking you probably joined this preview because you saw the word pipeline. And the thing is, there are many marketing strategies and tactics out there, uh, but they only work when you keep consistency. Consistency is the key. You know, I've been through it. I'm pretty sure Americo's been through it because it's only human. You try a tactic or this is going to work because everybody says it's going to work and there is proof, and so you start with your outreach and you start with your content marketing and you start with strategy networking, and you have a fantastic week, and then something happens and you stop, and so all the momentum, all the responses that you were getting, they kind of fizzle out because you're not there or you're not completely focused. So part of the master class is going to be teaching you how to make that pipeline pay off, as how to have a system that you can go back to that will generate revenue, not necessarily tomorrow, but continuously over time. So what we'll be talking a lot about is the power of compounding. We use the word compounding a lot when it comes to revenue. Revenue compounds, right? But also daily activities that you're going to be doing, they do compound and they will generate the revenue. Right, Americo?
Awesome. Now, I want to talk, I'm going to piggyback, and it may be in a different vertical, but when you say compounding, I'm thinking over on school, how quickly engagement compounds in community platforms. And we want to be able to jump in. Not sure who here is from school or from the school ecosystem, but you're going to get an extreme amount of value that will help you scale and build your school community as well. So let us jump in. We talked about purging, and next we want to focus on what will come next, which is platform. And we talked briefly about LinkedIn, about personal branding and building a pipeline. It's important that we focus on a pipeline that meets not only the needs of the business, but also has that business meet their ideal client profile and have their persona meet their community where they hang out. Some might not resonate with LinkedIn, others might resonate with TikTok, and understanding what platforms you need to show up on is very important. And Christina's a master at e-commerce, so she's well versed in different platforms and understands the dynamics for each and what works best for different types of business. So I'm going to zip my lips here for a moment and let you share some insights about platforms.
Well, platforms are like when you decide to travel the world and you go to different countries, right? And you lived in one all your life, and you think that you're gonna go to this other one, and you're just gonna keep the same habits, speak the same language, and eat at the same time, and all those kind of things. Same things exactly with platforms. When you pick a platform, sorry, I'm using this. When you pick a platform, you really have to understand its culture. It's important that before you just go and post and send messaging to people, you observe first. You actually connect and have conversations with those that have been using it for a while. Perhaps attending events if there are live events, or follow somebody that is posting, and they have either a large audience, but they show up daily, just to start and comparing how different people are doing different things. So you really have to study it and understand the culture and the behaviors, because if you go if you go to Substack and you think you're doing the exact same thing you were doing on LinkedIn, it feels sticky. And people that have been on the platform for a while, they'll say, you don't know what you're doing, or you're annoying, because that's not our culture here. So you really have to understand the culture, because what a platform is, it's a place where people live and they run daily activities, and they have their own habits. So if all of a sudden you're arriving with big marketing campaigns that work on one, and you think they're going to work on that one, they might not work so well, and you might make some enemies, which you don't want to do when you're new. You want the support of those people that have been hanging around there for a while, because that will build your pipeline.
Yeah, and here's another level piece of information that I'm going to share here for anyone who has questions about pipeline platforms. Sorry. I personally don't advocate this. Some people might have a different opinion, but when it comes to choosing your platform, like Christina said, certain don't just copy and paste your content, because it may look and feel sticky. You're absolutely right seeing that. It when it doesn't fit, people can see right through it. But here's the one thing I also recommend: don't invite everyone who's on one channel to come meet you at another channel, because you're going to do yourself more harm than good, because you'll come across starting to feel spammy, because you're popping up everywhere. Let your channels grow organically, and don't just try to replicate with the same group of people and showing up everywhere. Enough of that. We'll dive more into it in the masterclass, but that was a free piece of advice. How's that?
Excellent.
All right.
Do you want to move on to the next, or should we continue here for a little bit on this conversation?
Well, yeah. If you'd like to add, by all means,
Yeah, plenty
your
to
call.
say.
You decide.
Something that you said, don't copy paste your content from one platform and put it on another platform, right? Because people will see it will be sticky and all that. But also, that's something that I'm experiencing on Substack, where I'm fairly new and not 100% active. And I'm doing that on purpose. At first, I thought, okay, I'm going to post that every week, and, let's see what happens, grow my network really fast. And of course, I mean, I can grow it fast. It was growing fast quickly. But then I stopped, because I realized immediately that naturally that platform, now that I was kind of observing who was there and what other people posting, it was calling me to use a slightly different language. It was getting out parts of me that I'm not necessarily utilize or share on LinkedIn. And not because I don't want to be completely myself there, but Substack is a platform for writers, right? So on LinkedIn, I do business, and I also share my creative side, and sometimes I post some of my poetry. But on Substack, I just couldn't. I just had to. I have to speak as a writer. I had to speak using metaphors, maybe. I had to write something that was easy to read and not so technical. So I stopped for a while, and I started, observing other people that do similar things to what I do, and I found out that it's a completely different game, and I enjoy it, and I'm gonna keep working on it. But again, I learned quickly the culture, and I decided that I do like the culture, and I want to be part of the culture, but it's gonna be slightly different, and that difference is gonna help me to craft the right leads, to meet the right people, using the same language, a language that I understand, but also a language that is already there. So one thing about platforms, people use different terminology. People talk about the same topic in very different things, because you are in in very different ways because you are on a different platform. So one thing that free advice, like you're saying, Americo, we can say is if you want to, if you are very good at one platform, please don't go away from it, keep growing it. And if you want to try out other platforms like I'm doing, take your time, because you're just gonna drain yourself trying to be what you are in platform one on platform two, and then now you're taking away from platform one, and what you're doing on platform two is not really working. So you have to understand who's there, the language and the culture.
Yeah, the language and the culture. And on April 14th, let's dive into uh, the maybe not the terminology, but understanding what type of content fits for each platform. Because some are designed for thought leadership, some are designed just for snappy visibility. I discovered, and for the longest time, I always thought Pinterest. I didn't have a place in the Pinterest ecosystem. A colleague that I'm now following and a member of their school community um, has this whole Pinterest strategy, and I've now linked my Instagram to Pinterest. And my Instagram isn't there for my thought leadership. My Instagram isn't there for my written pieces. It's purely there for visibility. And now the two of them, I can't believe how much visibility I'm getting from Pinterest. So
Mm-hmm.
don't be afraid to try something, but also don't be afraid to let go when you realize, okay, there's nothing happening here. This doesn't fit into my brand, my persona, and I'm getting little return on this investment. Reinvest that time, effort, and energy by trying something different.
Funny you said about Pinterest, if I may. So I had a couple of different accounts on Pinterest during over the years, and I started doing Pinterest because I do a lot of print on demand. So for me, that's what Pinterest meant, print on demand. I create products, I put them on Pinterest because it's a very visual platform, right? And then years ago, something clicked. I just said, just let me just post my book on Pinterest. All my book sales are coming from Pinterest. So I started, I was out of it because I was zooming in mostly when I create products, I put them on Pinterest. So I started observing, and just like LinkedIn, just like any other platform, these platforms, they change over time. The algorithms change. People that are using them change, and that kind of has a lot to do also with the algorithm and how the platforms themselves decide to monetize. So yeah, long-term format is on Pinterest. How-to guides, selling books, videos, everything is on Pinterest now. And if you want, during the masterclass, if somebody's interested, people send us messages. We can also talk about that, how to set up a visual presence on Pinterest.
And
Just let us know in advance.
it's all about cross functionality. How many times now, like when I didn't go looking for it, it may have been staring me in the face, but I was oblivious to it. But I'll jump on Substack, I'll jump on Instagram, I'll jump on different platforms and see people talking about LinkedIn. And you always think, you know what, you got to stay in the ecosystem to talk about what's happening on that particular ecosystem. Listen, social media doesn't work that way. You can talk about a particular platform that really resonates and works for you. And you can talk about that on different platforms. And that's what I coach and develop my community as well as my customers on. When it comes to live streaming, listen, not everyone is going to show up despite registering for an event, not because they don't want to hear what you have to say, or perhaps people will register, will join, but they won't stick around for the full duration of the live event. And that's completely fine. You got to look at things from a different perspective and a different lens. And the biggest example that I try to use to create some visibility or visual for those who have difficulty with people sticking around. Consider your radio in the car, consider your weather network, consider that breakfast television channel. You wake up in the morning, it's on 24/7. But you jump in when you're able to, you stick around for as long as you're able to. Then you leave and you come back. And that is essentially a similar strategy that we apply with live streaming. People aren't going to attend the entire duration. That is fine, as long as they get value from the time that they do spend here. Then it becomes our responsibility to repurpose that. How can we get into snappy, bite-sized pieces of content? Is it a YouTube short? Is it a written note on Substack? Then it's about redistributing that message and bringing people in to listen to the video content on demand. So that it's all about, building that pipeline, but more importantly, understanding where to put the pieces, because you can put a pipeline together and have nothing come through. So it's really about understanding the strategy and having clarity around that strategy. And we're going to dive into that on our masterclass.
Great. So
let's take a moment before we move on to the next one. Let's say hello to Christy and Jay, who have joined us. Thanks for being part of the. Let's jump into our masterclass. So we covered at a high level. We covered platforms. We covered personal brand. But how important is mindset? A lot of us are transitioning. Some are forced to transition, whether it's because of age, whether it's because of technology, or whether it's because we just feel that we're at that point where we need to let go of the shackles that keep us in our current environment and break free and be entrepreneurs. And the mindset is one of the most important pieces, because some of us have a difficult time from shifting and moving ourselves from that employee mindset to that business owner and entrepreneur mindset. We want to help you with that. Christina?
Yes, the mindset that needs to shift is how you view time and how you value time. That's the biggest thing, because for decades, possibly, you've been working for a company where you showed up there 8 hours a day. You sit on a chair or stand up, depending on the activities, and are doing that one task of the series of tasks without thinking too much about this is going to generate this much money. This action that I'm doing is compounding over time. You're not thinking of any of that. All you know is that you're there, you're doing the best that you can, and a couple of weeks later, you get your paycheck. So your hours are monetized that way, no matter what. And also, you're thinking, I'm working 8 hours, but in reality, for my employer, right? But in reality, if you think about it, your employer is not really getting 8 hours out of you during that particular time. So because you'll have your lunch, and you'll have your couple of breaks, and then in the middle of it you'll go to the bathroom, and then you'll stop by the water cooler and have a 10 minutes conversation with somebody, and there you go. So maybe you're focused, you're working focused 5 to 6 hours. That's the reality of it. But when you shift, you either end up setting up your computer for 12 hours, and then you think you're doing a lot, but the money is not coming in, or you think you have all the time in the world, and then you're not putting enough effort. So what we're going to be talking about on this masterclass is how to not to go crazy, not to go 8 hours or 12 hours, but how to really build that is going to generate clients using about 4 hours a day tops, doing activities for 4 hours a day. Because honestly speaking, you can't do those type of activities to build the pipeline 8 hours a day, because that's not really your business. So at the beginning, you'll dedicate about 4 to 5 hours because you're building your personal brand and all that. But as your clients come in, you won't be able to. So you really have to strategize, be specific, and be hyper focused. Almost like when you didn't do your homework and you got 3 hours left, and all of a sudden your genius comes out because your back is against the wall and you get everything done, right? So we really need to learn how to strategize time and to understand that not every activity that you're doing is created equal, and each activity that you're doing has a specific role that will compound and produce a specific result. So it's different levers, but you cannot go too much of one and too little of another one. Each one has its exact ratio, and that's what we'll be talking about on the masterclass. It's very important for you to understand what they mean in terms of revenue for you. Once you understand that and you start getting your first results, you'll get data and you'll be able to actually predict your revenue. You'll know that within the next 3 months, I should be able to bring on this much money because doing the exact same thing, that's what happened, right? And then you know that something worked really well, and perhaps you want to focus on that to try to maximize your revenue. So you can only scale when you're building this pipeline and you're observing, you're strategizing, but your job is also the one of being an analyst. Really, you have to analyze what the tasks that you are performing are producing, and you might want to do that weekly and monthly.
Yeah. And I'm going to add to that, when it comes to mindset, when Christina says, you're investing time during your building phase, it's also important to understand how to make the best use of that time. So when it comes to live streaming, and I'm going to talk about my field and area of expertise, it's important to have a strategy, but have a strategy that gets you in front of different communities, different audiences. And a lot of people underestimate the power of guest speaking. And I don't have time to jump on someone else's show to talk about what I'm doing. And if that's what you believe, then you're leaving eyeballs. You're leaving eyeballs on the table that will never get to hear your message, never get to understand the value proposition that you have. So building that strategy requires outside the box thinking and stretching yourself beyond your capacity with minimal effort. And there's no better way. And I want to help you get on stage as much as building your own stage, but getting on other stages so that people that don't know who you are start to appreciate who you are and the value you bring. So we'll dive into that as well.
Yeah, and that's, actually it's perfect for, it is perfect because it you need somebody like Americo to be able to understand how to do this right. Most people, they start and they go on one-on-one coffee chat, no pitch coffee chat, and they'll talk forever. And then they brag about, I got invited to 30 different events, and they go and they talk a little bit, or they are the guest speaker. It's like if it's the Christina show, right? And then after the show is over, that's it. Nothing else happens. So there is a strategy that goes with that too. Understanding your time and what a live means, what a role a live is, and how you're building relationship after, in between. That's also something that builds your pipeline. You don't do that for the sake of being on video, right? You do that because you actually want to meet somebody. You want to see who's listening to you. You want to ask them, what did you think? So those are all the things, all the really all the those activities that I was talking about that will generate revenue.
And it's what a great segue. We leave this to the end. We leave it to the end on purpose because revenue may be the objective, but we all know what it feels like when someone front loads their outreach with, hey, buy for me. That proverbial pitch, the pitch slap that we become so accustomed to. We've left this to the end because we want you to have that same mindset. Although the long-term objective is to build and develop relationships that drive a revenue stream, the strategy is to make that revenue stream, put it at the end of your pipeline. Because if you front load it and you put it at the beginning of your pipeline and at the beginning of your funnel, you're going to lose people because you sabotaged yourself by not allowing yourself or those who are around you to lower their barriers. And those barriers of entry are extremely important. And if you start selling and pitching without delivering clarity, without delivering value, you're going to turn people off. And that is our last pillar that we want to cover today in this information session. And we'll go into more details in our masterclass. But that is monetizing your vision, monetizing your pipeline. And there is a strategy. You don't just sell to people. You have to earn their trust. You have to raise awareness to collect and generate those leads. And you want to turn those hot leads into customers. But there's a way to do it. And it varies by types of types of and by industry. We want to be able to make you in a position you're successful. One thing I hate the most is to sell a framework. And listen, I've bought coaching, support, and advice, and I've paid for services that have promised that, hey, you follow my 10-step plan and it's going to work. What I offer, and I know with confidence, and I'm saying this unscripted, and I'm sure Christina can back me up, what we offer is tailored and customized so that you succeed in your area of expertise. It's not about try Americo's 4-step framework and you're going to be successful. It's about Americo leading, supporting, and developing you to create a framework that's repeatable, but will succeed in your vertical, in your area of expertise. And I'll leave it at that. Your thoughts on monetizing?
Any good coach keeps you accountable, right? Right, Americo?
Sorry, I missed that. I got distracted
I
by
said
the chat.
any good coach keeps you accountable. Make sure that you're
Absolutely.
actually following up with those steps. It's not just here are the steps and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Accountability is extremely important because if anyone who invests in themselves with the expectation that, hey, in exchange for my dollars, I'm going to see instant results, save your money. Because if you're not ready to roll up your sleeves and put into practice what someone wants to share with you so that you can be successful, I don't want to work with individuals like that because it's going to ruin my reputation. I don't want anyone to say, Americo did nothing for me. He promised me he was going to give me views, he was going to give me customers. And when the question is asked, well, what did you do to help yourself? What did you follow? It's like, well, I didn't. I hired Americo to do it for me. It's like, well, that's a completely different strategy. If you're hiring me to do something for you, it's completely different than hiring me to help you do it for yourself. So you have to understand what you're investing in. Because if you want to monetize this and you be successful with the business and the enterprise that you want to manifest, you got to be prepared to roll up your sleeves. Unless you got a big budget and say, you know what, here's money, go make it work for me, create my pipeline, and I'm going to sit back. That's a completely different strategy that we can help with as well. But understand what you're investing in and understand how much you need to invest in yourself to be successful. Christina, thoughts?
Yeah, strategies, they exist because they've been proven before, right? And for example, I can proudly say that all my strategies do work because they work for me and they work for the clients I work with. But I had those calls where somebody says, okay, here is my account, here is my passwords, fix it. And I said, no, number one, you really cannot and go and give at least some platforms. For example, for LinkedIn, that's against policy, right? And number two, it wouldn't be your personal brand anymore. I would be doing it for you. I do something like that for companies, for other type of clients, that basically I'm their marketing person. That's different, right? But when you want to do either a consulting business, or you want to become a coach, or you want to get all of your experience and now work for yourself but have your own clients, there is one very important special ingredient that I cannot give you, and that's you, yourself, your personality, your approach. And for people to understand that, you are the one that has to talk to people. You are the one that has to get on the calls. You are the one that has to craft a good DM with your own voice. And, for those of you that have LinkedIn experience, that are now everything is hot and heavy on those comments, right? And I hear every day, uh, this big elite coach told me to send 200 comments a day, and it's possible, and you should do it. But you know what? Not all 200 comments will get all those impressions. Some will get 10 impressions, 15 impressions. And the thing is, the people panic because they think that they have to send 50 DM before 50 comments before 10 a.m. And what do they do naturally? They open their AI and they start mining AI made comments, and they don't resonate. Uh, I do very little comments. I could probably do more, but when I do them, now they're strategic. And just the other day, I made a comment on somebody else's post that it was all about becoming a coach, right? And he went past 10,000 plus impressions. And out of that, somebody actually reached out to me, and now I'm working with them. So why did that happen? Because my comment was super special, because I was reading this thing and I loved what it was, right? But I didn't say I love it, I agreed. I actually wrote something that it was my own experience and explaining how it was for me, my own journey. And person that read it said, oh, this person understands what I'm going through and I want to get to where she is. So the special ingredients that nobody can teach you and give you is yourself, your passion, your why, the reason why you're building this thing. Then all the other technicality, how to understand the platform, what works, what the culture is, and what a pipeline is, and how to use it, and how not to, how to build the rhythm and an habit. That's what we're going to be teaching on this masterclass. And if you do follow it, if you do follow that rhythm daily or 5 times a week, if you want, you'll start getting the responses that you want, and you will get on those conversations that will either hire you, refer you, or open doors for you.
That is beautifully said. And let me tell you, this week, when you said 200 comments weekly, I was never able to adopt or buy into that analogy, because 250 comments even a week is unrealistic, and all it does is help those platforms like LinkedIn keep you on their platform, right? Those words of encouragement are designed to benefit the platform, and sometimes you got to break from that messaging and understand that what's important to you. These last few weeks, I've been commenting, I'd say, a handful of times at most, and I'm still getting visibility from my other content. Our last event that Jay and I hosted, we had Ron Wyatt, who's a photographer, and we did a wonderful storytelling piece. We spotlighted Ron and his photography business, and that just took off. We're currently at 24,000 impressions, and over 4,800 views on that particular episode. Now, I would take that anytime over an impression because platforms measure and define impressions differently. And if we use the LinkedIn example, and if you go into a search or you Google it, you will read that LinkedIn defines an impression as 0.3 of a second. So within 1 second, you can get 3 impressions. Now, how can 3 people in 1 second make an impact? I don't believe it for a minute. So even someone showing up and listening to even 5 minutes of a 1-hour episode, they're going to get more out of it, and you're going to gain more visibility from a handful of minutes, even if it is a handful of minutes of dwell time on your live event and how you repurpose it and when people come back. It's going to outperform the impressions. And impressions, I tell people all the time, and I say it as a joke, but it's true. You can't take impressions to the bank because they won't take them. They won't accept them from you. But when you get people who stick around and they drive your dwell time, that means that you've resonated with them, and they're going to reach out to you as they are with myself and as they are with Steve. Want to hear, they want to have that one-on-one conversation, they want to help and replicate that energy for their personal brand. And that's what we want to help individuals who show up and sign up for our masterclass. We want to be able to set you up for success with what we know works, and it works because it is tailored for you personally.
Yeah. And it is about comments and strategic networking that go hand in hand. Certain posts or newsletters, you'll see that there is a lot of traffic there. So strategically, you want to comment on those, even if you think that, wow, this person has 300,000 followers, and what is my little bitty comment gonna do, right? Well, my little bitty comment got somebody to connect with me and to work with me. And it's like, why didn't they work with the other person that has all those 200 followers? I don't know. Maybe it felt more approachable, right? Maybe some of the words that I used really were the words that they they needed to hear, they're looking for. But you said it. That particular post, 10,000 plus impressions and still going, right? But I heard from 3 people saying, hey, I liked your comment there after all those impressions. So, is it really worth it to start counting impressions or start thinking that you're successful because you're getting those impressions on the post and the impressions on the comments, when in reality, you could bypass all that by paying attention. Who's in this conversation? Who's commenting here? I think I should engage with this person and go and engage with them directly, going on their own profile, right? And building a relationship, saying something, and perhaps meeting them. So those are the things that we'll be discussing on the masterclass, and needs to be done rather than focusing on volume, because like Americo said, you can catch those in, but what you can eventually turn into revenue is those relationships that you're building strategically. So you have to discover people. So discoverability is also discovering people so that you can strategize your time and say, instead of talking to everybody, go and approach somebody directly, not with this is what I'm selling, but just talking about what are you building right now, where are you at, right? And generating those genuine conversations.
Hey, here's a comment that Jay dropped in the box, and I totally agree, and it is something that I want to help people improve and develop, because Jay adds that he believes the biggest obstacle for many of us is having a strong call to action after a live event or a post or an article. Like, people don't recognize that your leads are sometimes staring you straight in the face. So if you have an event and you set it up where people register, you now know who has interest. Is everyone going to buy from you? Absolutely not. Give your hopes up. Not everyone's going to buy from you, but you've at least started that funnel. You at least know where your starting point is. And at the end of your event, or even prior to your event, by reminding people and encouraging, hey, our event starts tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. You're nurturing that relationship. And then to go live and just turn your back, hey, if you're interested, reach out. And it's very similar to that post and ghost analogy. If you're hosting a live event because you want to derive value and you want to instill someone with some knowledge that you believe would help their business, and then to do nothing with those who attended, not having any strategy on reaching out to learn more about their thoughts, their insight, what they found valuable, and you've earned the right to at least that conversation. They've made you aware that they're interested by registering. They've made you further aware by showing up. So the clues and the cues are there, and very often people overlook them. And I want to be able to help those people who are struggling to not only juggle the planning, the promoting, the engaging, but also the outreach, and help you start those conversations so that you can turn your events into those revenue streams. Thanks, Jay, for bringing that up.
Thank you, Jay.
All right, we are at the top of the hour. I think we timed this perfectly. We are covering 4 key areas. We're touching on personal branding. We're touching on platforms. We're touching on monetization and mindset. Maybe not in that order, but those are the 4 key areas that you will get value. So if you have an idea that you want to bring to life, if you have an idea that you've brought to life and you're struggling to get it going, or you have a good system, you're just ready to scale and you want to get some insights on what you might want to do differently. It could be a tweak, it could be a renovation, or it could be a complete overhaul, and you just want a second or third opinion. We invite you to come join us on April 14th, where we're going to dive into the Build Your Brand and Monetize Your Expertise Masterclass.
And
Christina?
you're going to walk away with knowing exactly how to build and maintain your pipeline that will continuously generate revenue.
Fantastic. So do we want to close it off by playing the song? You
Yes.
liked it so much. All right, let's play the song. And for those who are still with us, listen to the lyrics, because it paints the picture. It brings the story and the narrative together. And let's see right here. The song is called Build It Clear. And at the end of the song, we're going to close the room. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And stick around. I am going to repurpose this content and demonstrate what is capable of happening with each live event. So if you don't follow me on LinkedIn or School or wherever it is that you're following me, you're going to see bits and pieces of today's content scattered and find a home in each respective ecosystem. All right, let's hit play.
You've been carrying wisdom like a loaded page, years of miles, scars, lesson engraved. You did the work, you earned the view. but the numbers haven't followed you. You've got stories worth more than likes, vision sharper than a million mics. It's not about grinding louder now, it's time to change the how. You don't need another hustle plan, you need a signal people understand. Build a brand that works as hard as you, let your truth turn into revenue. It's not about being everywhere seen, it's about standing somewhere clean. Clear beats loud every time, this is your moment, your line. Be seen, be valued, be paid for what you already made. Step onto a stage where the moment's real, where live conversations make connection feel. From silent posts to voices that land, where trust is built when you're seen firsthand. Big ideas shared in real time air, no edits, no filters, just presence there. From employee thinking to owning the frame, packaging outcomes, calling your name. Right platform, right point of view, unlived moment, cut straight through. Build a brand that works as hard as you, let your story drive the revenue. It's not about shouting to the crowd, it's about clarity spoken out loud. Clear beats loud every time, this is your moment, your sign. Be seen, be trusted, be paid for the value you already made. You don't need to become someone new, just sharpen what's already true. And clarity clicks, doors open wide. Consistency builds the Build it clear, build it strong. You've been ready all along, not louder, just a line. Confidence meets design.